Hello, welcome back to my channel. Okay, so as you can see by the picture, I do have here a vintage Chanel bag. Oh my gosh, is it beautiful. So this video is going to be a little bit different. We are going to be talking about luxury as usual, but if you are new to my channel and you love all things luxury and you aren't already subscribed, I would love if you would hit the subscribe button below and also the bell to be notified when I upload new videos. Okay, so clearly this was not an unboxing video. I didn't do any unboxing. I am showing you the bag. Now this is not my bag though. So this bag I actually bought for my best friend. She has been wanting a Chanel bag for a very, very long time. She did pay for it. I bought it for her with her money, and I got it from a Japanese store. Vintage bags are made beautifully. They have 24 karat gold plated hardware. As you can see, the gold is so striking. Like, let me go and get my other bag, which is in gold hardware, so you can see what I mean in terms of how these are made, and they're absolutely stunning in comparison to what they make nowadays. This is actually in gold hardware, but if you look at these side by side, look at that. Look at the gold on this vintage classic flap versus the gold on mine. Like, there's not even gold. So I grabbed my aged gold one. Like, even the aged gold still doesn't compare to the 24 karat gold plated that they did on the vintage bags. Like, they just don't compare. It's just so striking and so beautiful. But yeah, back to what I was saying. I was like, you know, if you really want to curate your handbag collection, you only want a few designer bags, and you've always wanted like a classic flap, I just feel like it's better to just go ahead and get vintage. Get a vintage classic flap, and you know, maybe one day you can get a mini flap as well. But I just feel like getting the vintage classic flap, you can save a ton of money and you're getting a quintessential Chanel item. But what I'm going to do on camera, I'm actually going to do a self spa. So I'm going to do like a self restoration of this bag, and I'll show you the condition and whatnot, and what it can kind of look like with your own sort of like TLC. Before I dive into that part of the video, I want to tell you where I got this from. So I got this from brand Jafar, which is a Japanese consignment store. I'm going to link their store down below. I got it from their eBay store, which I kind of feel like, you know, the good thing about buying on eBay, you get all this like, you know, buyer money back guarantee, but then they also get coupon codes as well. So that's kind of the cool thing with buying on eBay. Sometimes you get some coupon codes, you can save a little bit of money. So I'm going to link their store down below if you want to have a look at their, like the vintage Chanel pieces that they've got. But what I'm also going to do in the description bar down below, I'm going to link all the vintage classic flaps that I can find that I personally feel are a very good deal, B, can be self-restored. I do have a very extensive leather care like thing, but I'm only going to show you a few pieces that I feel are the only ones you're really going to need when it comes to like self-restoration of good condition vintage Chanel bags. Okay, so this is my extensive leather care kit. I've got already some pieces on the table. Like, I've just got a few pieces I'm going to show you, so they're not inside the kit. But this is how serious I am when it comes to like handbag care. This is not just something that I've learned overnight. This is 18 years of buying luxury handbags, self-authenticating and experiencing all different handbags. Like, a long time. Okay, so I'm going to give you a rundown of the bag. So we can take this tag off because it's just going to get in the way. Right, so if you look up close, there is some kind of like very light kind of indentations in the leather. There's a bit of a scratch right there, just there. There is, I would say, like, there's surface level scratches. None of them are actually, even this scratch is not bad, but that would be the worst of all the scratches. Just this one up here. That's the worst of all of them, okay? So that's a pretty good indication to show you how great the condition is of this bag, if that is the worst scratch of all. And then there's light indentations, like I was saying, and that's just from the storage of the chain. It looks like they've kind of had the chain on the front. That's the side of the bag, which the condition's amazing. As you can see, it's actually double flap, so the structure is amazing on this. That is the back of the bag, and there is no kind of, like, that's what I mean, like that scratch is like the worst of all the scratches, because at the back of the bag there's really nothing that's like it. And that scratch at the top, that is just what it is just like when the leather skips. So generally like light scratches, you can kind of just blend them in with your finger like this. So if I do that to this, it's not really going to blend in anymore unless it was kind of done when it first happened, because the leather is kind of being pulled in the opposite direction. Like you've pretty much distorted the grain when it first happens, is to kind of massage the grain back, but it will never really totally go away. But conditioning the leather and giving it a buff to shine will blend that away. This is actually the inside of the bag. I forgot to show you, but yeah, the condition is absolutely amazing inside. Like it pretty much needs absolutely no work inside of the bag. The quilts as well are not super flat. Like there's still a little bit of like a puff to those quilts, especially down here. You can see it more. It looks like the top is less of a puff, perhaps to do with the double flap, because it's kind of stretched out the leather over time with the opening and closing. But to me, I feel like this is in amazing condition for a vintage bag. This is actually a series 5, which means it was like 20 odd years old. Condition is actually amazing, even on the corners. I thought that I might need to do a color touch up on it, but yeah, the corners are amazing. And I'm also going to do a bit of a hardware polish. I'm going to use a more abrasive sort of hardware polish just on the grommets, only on the grommets, because the grommets are not 24 karat gold plated. Then I'm just going to use a polishing cloth on the actual hardware, like on the chain and the front here. But this is pretty much all the products you're going to need, and I'm going to have everything linked down below. And the first thing I'm going to say is, disclaimer, you can make your own decision as to whether you take my advice on anything, but I am not a leather expert. I'm not trained at university for this. I don't know if there is any kind of university degree for this though, but I'm not a professional leather repairer, restorer, or anything like that. All I have is 18 years of luxury handbag experience, but this is what I do, and this is just me sharing what I do. So I'm going to link the products down below that I use, but at your own discretion, do you decide as to whether you follow what I do or as to whether you purchase those products and try to do the same thing. It is completely up to you and your discretion. Let me show you the products that I am personally going to use, and I've used many a times for my own self handbag care. The first one is my absolute favorite product, and this is my go-to when it comes to Hermes and Chanel bags. I do have some other products like from Bags and More that I use just like more like day-to-day sort of cleaning, but this is my ultimate go-to when it comes to sparring, and this is a Cadillac boot and shoe leather lotion, and it is completely suitable for all types of leather, including exotic skins, patent, and vinyl, but definitely do not use it on suede or nubuck. Perfectly safe for lambskin, delicate kid leathers, calf leathers, that sort of thing. For color touch-ups, I use a polish from the brand Sapphire. So this is actually a very pigmented polish, and that's why I prefer to use this rather than like a full-on color. But if you were to use a bag restoration service, they will use like a full-on color to do color touch-ups, because they probably have a rainbow of colors. Whereas for me, I don't. So this is what I use for black, is the actual black polish, which is ridiculously pigmented. I use this on my black shoes. Sapphire is actually the choice of brand that Hermes uses in their spa, but I don't think I'm going to be needing to use this today. The other thing that I'm going to be using is this. This is the metal polish cream, and this is very abrasive. I do not recommend that you use this unless you really know what you're doing. This is good for Louis Vuitton locks. If you buy a vintage Louis Vuitton and the lock is so ridiculously ugly and tarnished, get this. This is going to be an absolute savior, and that lock is going to look nice and gold and shiny again. But are not 24 karat gold plated. They're definitely not. The strap chain is, and this is. So that is why I will not use this on 24 karat gold plated. I find that it's just too abrasive for that, and I'd rather not risk it. So yeah, I use this just on, I'm just going to use this just on the grommets. This is great as well for like Louis Vuitton bags, where you know they've got the rivets that go green sometimes when they're vintage. Use this for that. That will be absolutely amazing. Next item is just a hardware polishing cloth. This is just like a Pandora one. And then I've got some cloths. These are just like lint-free cloths that I'm going to use for the polishing process. And then the very final one is an actual Sapphire polishing cloth. I'm going to go ahead and do these grommets first. Stuff, you really should only use a teeny tiny bit, and I'm going to try my best to avoid it getting it on the leather, but it should be okay because I'm going to clean the leather anyway. That's why I wanted to do this first. So it comes out blue, and then it kind of turns black because it's removing all that tarnish. Now I'm just gonna fast forward this part and you can just see me doing it. Like I said, I only use a really teeny tiny bit. And I'm trying my very best to not get any of it on the leather. If you do get any on the leather, just try to wipe it away as soon as you can. So this is the grommet that I've done. Now, if you can see the difference, look at how like yellow, you see how that's got like a greeny kind of yellowy tinge to it? See how that looks a bit greeny, and this looks really nice and yellow now? That is because of that metal polish, because it's removed. This had all that tarnish on there before. It's like a green, like that's what tarnish looks like. It goes green. It's oxidized metal, and it's still on this one because I haven't done this one yet, but I just wanted to show you the difference, and that is why that metal polish is more abrasive. It really removes that. I knew that these grommets were not done in the same kind of 24 karat gold plating. I just knew it. I could tell from an instant, because these are just basic sort of rivets that they use on handbags. Obviously they're a better quality sort of like plating than like you know, cheap handbags, but still I knew that it would just, I would not use the metal polish on this because there's no tarnish on it anyway. It's not going to do any benefit. It's only best to use metal polish where you can see obvious, visible, green, black looking tarnish. See, look at that. Oh my gosh, they look so much better. Oh, my friend is going to be so thrilled. Okay, so this is the black that comes off. Look at that. See what I mean by tarnish? Like, ugh. If you want to know more about metal oxidization, just Google it and then you can kind of understand. It's pretty much just the exposure to air and dust and dirt that causes that to happen with like poor quality metals. So this is not high quality metal. These grommets are not high quality metals, but I have seen worse. I have seen worse with luxury bags. So I'm going to go ahead and just do the rest. I'm going to turn off this part because I don't think you need to see this anymore. Okay, so that is the grommets all done. They look amazing now compared to how they looked before. I mean, before they still looked really good. Like, to be honest, I feel like there wasn't really all too much, like there was tarnish on them, but they weren't like really, really bad. I've seen pretty tarnished hardware before, but yeah, now it's much better. It looks a lot brighter and golder now. So it matches now more so with the rest of the actual 24 karat gold hardware on the bag. For the inside, a quick clean and condition. I'm only going to do one application cleaning, next application conditioning, and then I'll move on to the rest of the outside of the bag. I'm going to use these cloths to do the cleaning process, and then I'll save my sapphire polishing cloth to do the buff to shine. But you could actually use this for the cleaning conditioning process. It's just that you got to keep moving around the cloth to keep using like a clean section. So I find that it's better to just go ahead and use one of these lint-free cloths, and I'm just going to fold it up so I can keep turning it over as well, so I don't have to use multiple cloths. So just work with bit by bit. You don't want to use too much, and then you can just always reapply. Smush in the lotion and circular motions. You don't want to press too hard. If you could bruise an apple, then you're pressing too hard. And this is just the cleaning application first, so don't have to worry too much about it. This stuff is like pretty much foolproof as well. That's why I do love it, is that you kind of, yeah, it's pretty much foolproof. Like, I feel like there's pretty much no way that you could really stuff up your bag using this leather lotion. It's a cleaning lotion and conditioner, so it does condition as well when I'm using it, but the first application is always cleaning. Look at that. That's from age. Like, that's from how old this bag is and it hasn't been cleaned. Just trying to get in there, get inside the pocket of the bag. it's all leather lined anyway, so yeah. It does make it easier to clean when it's not a fabric bag. Not that I'm against fabric bags. I actually really want a tweed Chanel bag. Wow. Wow. Poor little guy. He hasn't been cleaned before. So I'm just going to move on to another part of the cloth. All right. So pretty much, like I said, all I'm doing is like circular motions. If you're pressing too hard, like if you would bruise an apple, then you're pressing too hard. So this first thing I'm doing is just cleaning. This is just cleaning the bag. So we're removing all that dirt and grime and stuff like that. So I'm just going to fast forward me doing this. What you notice, you know, I'm going diagonally. It's because I want to get inside the stitching as well of the diamond quilt. Even though the first kind of way I went was circular, I'm going now diagonally to get inside the quilts as well. Wow, this bag is really sucking up all that lotion. Like, yeah, it really needed it, and I could tell because if it was already very conditioned, it wouldn't be taking in all this lotion that I'm putting on. I could probably like be able to use the cloth for longer, but I'm having to reapply pretty regularly, so the leather's sucking it all up. I think that the green is somewhat a bit of like not exactly like the colors coming off, but like a bit of like the excess dye, if you kind of know what I mean, like a bit of, I feel like that's kind of what it is, like a bit of the pigment and the excess dye is kind of cleaning off, and which is not a bad thing because I feel like you definitely don't want that stuff rubbing on your clothing. You don't want that rubbing on your clothing for sure. So it's better to get that excess off. And maybe it was color touched up by, I don't know, like some kind of like, you know, restorer that maybe wasn't using the best quality products, because this stuff that I use as like a color touch up as well does not come off like that, like it doesn't come off green or anything like that. All right, so I've done like the inside, the under the flap, in the interior. Now I'm just gonna, before I do like the front part, like I've done this part already, but I'm just gonna do now the sides and the back of the bag. Almost done. I just got to do the front and then the chain as well. I don't want to change my cloth yet because I know that I'm going to have to do 3 applications anyway. Now that I've removed the excess, most of the excess, and then I'll go in with another application, I'm not worried that it's going to, like any of the black's going to rub off. I'm definitely not worried about that because I know that it's soaked in a lot of the black color. I can tell that. But what would have been best is that wherever they got it sparred, if they used a higher quality leather dye, that wouldn't be happening. So, and it would make just the bag look blacker for longer. So it still looks really good though, I must admit, it still looks really good, and it's going to look even better with a another coat and another and then the final step of conditioning and then a buff to shine. That is the first process, which is cleaning. And now I'm going to go ahead and do another application to remove anything residual, dirt and grime that I've kind of left. And this is definitely going to be conditioning the bag. So the first application gave it a slight conditioning, but mostly it's just removing all that dirt and stuff like that. Same thing again. I'm just constantly putting, you know, the leather lotion on the cloth to clean the bag. And yeah, I'm going to start just with the outside, and then I'm going to work my way in the inside. Not as much coming off on the sides of the bag, it's mostly on the front part. Not as bad. Getting better now. Getting much, much better. It seems like it was just the front of the bag. Probably because the excess dye has rubbed off onto whoever was using this bag. So that way most of the excess is kind of already gone now. So that's the second application. I just did a quick one of that. I'm not going to really bother with cleaning the inside because the inside was actually really pretty fairly clean anyway, and I just don't want to make this video too long. So that's the second application. I'm just going to let that rest for about a couple of minutes before I go ahead and do the very final condition and buff to shine of the bag. But it is really looking much, much better. Like, and it's getting washed out a little bit with the lighting, but there's so much more shine to the bag that I can really see. It looks so much more luscious than when it first started out. I can really feel and see the difference. There is just so much more nourishment inside the leather that I didn't see in the very beginning. Like, even though in the beginning the condition was still amazing, it just looks a heck of a lot better. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to the very last step. So I cleaned the chain again. And now I'm just going to do the very last, which is using this sapphire polishing cloth to do a buff to shine. So this is pretty much conditioning and buffing to shine. Now this sapphire polishing cloth really helps to bring out a nice luster and shine to the bag. Also as well when you use it for like buffing. Still like a bit of excess coming off, which I'm I'm kind of a little bit like, not a bit annoyed with that there is excess dye coming off because that shouldn't be happening. I clean many of my bags this way and I don't get any dye coming off. So yeah, someone's used a pretty crappy dye, but it is much, much, much better than what it was. Like, that is such an improvement on what it was before. Gosh, I hope that comes off my cloth. That's going to be pretty annoying. I'm not keen that my cloth is getting like that color on there now. So just doing... this is not a buff to shine. This is just getting the final conditioning treatment in. This is really now just conditioning the bag. This is just like, technically this is what it would be, is just purely conditioning. It is conditioning the bag, but there's still some level of cleaning going on because clearly, you know, they've used a dye that is not that great and it has excess. So that's pretty unfortunate. Don't know what brand they've used. Maybe Kiwi brand. Far less is coming off, which is good. Just wondering if I... Okay, that's good. Just checking if I like give it a buff to shine, does excess come off too? Like, does it come off with friction? But it doesn't. It seems to only come off when you're actually doing the cleaning motion, the circular motion. It seems to only be coming off then. So that's good, because I was worried that, like, you know, with my friend, when she goes to use it, I was worried that, you know, it might transfer into her. But based on like just doing a buff to shine, it's not coming off, which is a relief, a big relief. So now that when I'm putting this on, it's not, there's a lot more residual condition kind of hanging around, and that's because the bag has really sucked up a lot of the conditioning that I've done already. So it's hanging around now. I'm not having to use as much conditioner because it's soaked up a lot of conditioner already. So this is pretty much the final steps, that and just kind of giving the hardware a polish, and then that's it. That's all that I do for self-sparring my own bags, you know, vintage bags especially, or bags that I haven't had a spar for ages. Usually, like, my own bags, I don't, like, from when I've been the first owner, I really only have to spar them like every 6 months, and that's about it. And I don't even have to do 3 coats. I only have to do 2. One to clean and then one to condition, and then I'm done. That is it in terms of like full-on clean condition of the bag. So I had to do 3 applications. The first one to clean, the second one to pretty much clean again, clean, residual, and condition a bit, and then the third was mostly conditioning. I'm gonna leave that to set now. I'm just gonna leave it to soak in all that conditioning goodness, and then after that's all soaked in, I'm gonna give it a buff to shine. So what I'm gonna do now is just clean up the hardware, just give it a quick polish. To do the chain, all I'm doing is just rubbing the polishing cloth on the chain strap, back and forwards. I probably should have started from one side and worked my way. That probably would have been better. The hardware is really amazing on this. I'm not really too worried. The best part of the bag is pretty much all that 24 karat gold plated hardware. I wish that Chanel was still doing that. So just going up and down the chain sort of thing. So I'm just going to do the turn lock. This is pretty much the easiest part of all of it, is just polishing it. And you can just use any kind of like jewelry polishing cloth that you have. I wouldn't recommend using the rouge ones, just because some of that rouge red can rub off, and you don't want that rubbing onto the leather. So it looks nice, even shinier than what it did. Gosh, the 24 karat gold is amazing. So that is it for the hardware. That's all I had to do for the hardware. That was really simple, the most simplest of things. I'm just gonna let that sit for a little bit more before I go and buff to shine. I just want to make sure that condition has really kind of soaked in and dried into the bag. So I'm just going to clean up the area around me while I'm kind of waiting. Okay, so that is how it looks close up. Now I haven't done the buff to shine yet, so I'll do that in a moment. I'll show you how I do that. Oh, it looks so beautiful. It feels so much better. I love how the quilts aren't super flat on this, and you'll see that like before, you can't even see this anymore. Oh, it's amazing. So remember before I said that there was that scratch just on the top there? It's hardly noticeable now. Like, I don't even know which one it was. Honestly, I can't even see it anymore. It's gone. It's completely been blended in with conditioning of the bag. Look how much of a difference that makes. So that scratch that I think was around about there, it does not look anything like what it did before. Like, oh wow, look at that. But that's how it looks. It looks so much more nice and supple. But yeah, that's the real testament right there, is that you can hardly or can't even see where that scratch was anymore on the top there. And any of the other scratches that I had, like the chain indentations, they're pretty much like gone now. And I think that they probably will dissipate even more with like a buff to shine. Like there's a few still indentations, but they're not, it just doesn't look anywhere near, like even before the condition was amazing, but it just looks even better than what it did originally. Buff to shine. Sapphire polishing cloth. This is, like I said, this is the best brand when it comes to like leather products. Obviously I didn't use their product to like clean and condition, and that's purely because I don't feel like it's necessary. I'm not like a professional leather restorer or anything. I didn't want to spend all that extra money on something that I really don't feel like is like I really would get the full benefit of. If you're like a professional leather restorer, then yes, like that sort of stuff would be better, but I just feel like the Cadillac leather lotion does the job to clean and condition the bag. It did an amazing job. The bag, and like you could see yourself, the scratch that was there that I pointed out before where the leather is skipped is completely gone. It's totally been blended in. It's amazing. All it really needed was just like a good clean and condition, and the bag is perfect, like perfect vintage condition now. Oh, such a good deal. And I didn't even tell you how much it was. Oh my gosh, I didn't even tell you how much it was. Okay, we'll talk about that in a moment. All right, we'll talk about that in a moment. Okay, so buff to shine, all it is like I said, you need a really good leather cloth, buffing cloth, sorry, a leather buffing cloth. Such a mouthful. And you just want to make sure you're supporting the bag. You don't want to be pressing too hard, because again, it's a case of if you would bruise an apple, then you're going too hard, and that will just, you know, I don't want to also flatten out the quilts as well. I don't want to, you know, be rough with the bag. You still got to be gentle with it. So buff to shine is just a back and forward motion, and that's how you get a nice shine to the leather. You can do this on any kind of lambskin leather, any kind of natural leathers. Caviar, you won't be able to do this because caviar is an artificial grain, just like Epsom. Hermes Epsom it's an artificial grain. And because it's got quilts, I'm just going to go back and forwards in the direction of the quilts as well. Okay. So I don't know if you can see the difference. You probably can't because of the lighting, but all that pretty much does is just give the bag a little bit more of a shine to it. It gives a bit more like a glow to the bag. That's all it is. It's just a natural process of like bringing out like, you know, like the oils and stuff like that in the bag. And the patina, that kind of thing, which is essentially what oils are. Not really going to do that there. It's just the flap anyway, so I'll just do it to the underneath. So it's just a back and forward motion. So I'm just going to fast forward this part. That's all it is. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I like to do it because I like to bring out as much shine as I can to the bag. Some people actually use polish just to get that shine, just to get that glossy sort of look, but I don't like to do that really. Like I said, I don't really like to use products that aren't necessary. Like, you know, less is more. That's kind of the way I feel about it. So the actual price of this and why this was such a good deal and how it's turned out so beautifully. Already the condition was really good. It's a double flap. This is actually the size small. Yes, this is a small classic flap, which is the most sought after size. Even in the resale market, you can't even buy these for under retail. They pretty much always sell over retail if they're in caviar and they're a recent year, especially if they're like a unicorn color. So small classic flap, the most coveted size. We paid for this just a little over $6,000 Australian, and that is a massive saving compared to the retail price, which is just shy of $13,000 Australian. Such a bargain price, and this is why I say as well that you really should consider Chanel Vintage if you're looking to get a classic flap. This, when I actually unboxed this for the first time ever, I actually felt like I was unboxing a real quintessential House of Chanel handbag. First time ever, I actually felt like I was really unboxing something that Coco Chanel had made, and like that, even though it was like Karl Lagerfeld that brought this back, I still feel like it just felt like quintessential Chanel right there. Like I just got total feels for it. The total feels when I unboxed this. It was like no other Chanel bag I've ever unboxed. I'm going to link down below all the vintage Chanel bags that I can find across all the different platforms that you can purchase pre-loved authentic goods. I highly recommend Japanese sellers, but there are other alternatives to just Japanese sellers, you know, there's Fashion File, that sort of thing. So I will link all the good deals down below, and I'm only going to link bags that I feel that you could potentially spar them. So super excited, and I'm so excited that my friend finally got a Chanel classic flap. She's going to be so thrilled and impressed. Like, oh, it's just, I just want to keep it for myself. I just want to keep it. Oh my God. I'm going to put some mod shots on the screen. Hopefully I can take some pictures with this baby because it is so beautiful. And yeah, that's it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.